Hello, friends. Hello, Vinyl Stencil. Thank you for the lurk. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Hello, Exiled Fae. Hello, Shagraz. Did I say it slow enough? Do I have to say it slower? Shagraz. Hello. Hello. How is everybody? Hopefully, I can't see the ads myself, but hopefully playing ads during the opening wasn't too intrusive. I've been meaning to do this for a little while, but I've switched to manual ads, so hopefully there'll be no more ask a question and then you get an ad right in the middle of me talking. We're going to be manually running ads while I'm AFK, and I might do... Please don't hate me, but I might do slightly longer ad breaks just because I think in order to avoid pre-rolls, we have to play 30 seconds of ads every hour or something like that. Hang on. My foot pillow is not cooperating this morning. So we'll be doing extended ads during the breaks while I'm AFK and that splash screen is up. But hopefully that means that you guys won't get any more interruptions while I'm talking or while we're writing, doing sprints, whatever. So fingers crossed. If you do, obviously this probably won't be a problem for anyone listening now, but in the future, if you do get pre-rolls, let me know, because I guess that means I'm not playing enough ads. Mustang Aspen, hello, how are you? Ready for the weekend, Exiled Fae? I feel you. I have had the craziest of weeks these past 2 weeks. My schedule has been a little bit all over the place because I've had some health stuff going on. But I think I'm finally next week going to be able to ease off a bit on the full speed dash and actually have a decent amount of time to fit my work in. So I'm looking forward to that. For anyone who is wondering, because I mentioned the other day that I hurt my foot, I do think it's getting better. I'm starting to get that pins and needles tingling sensation that indicates, you know, when you go out in the cold and your arms get really cold and then you come in and your hands will start, your fingers will start burning, burning tingling. That's what it feels like when you have a nerve pinch that releases. So on the one hand, it's good because it means the sensation is coming back into my nerve in my foot, whichever one I pinched. But it's not fully released yet. It's sort of coming and going. So if you hear me suddenly curse or jump or see me jump or whatever, it's just because that's happening. It's a good thing, I promise. Even though it might not always sound like a good thing. Lomi, hello. Thank you for the lurk. We're going to be running some sprints today for the first time in what feels like forever. I'm so excited to actually write something because, for me, outlining isn't the same as, writing something. It's creative process, sure. But there's nothing quite like actually sitting down and writing a story, which is what we're gonna do today. A book I bought recently seems to have evaporated. Oh no, on its way to you or when it reached you and it disappeared into your house. Oh boy, it's Friday. It's Friday and my brain is ready for it to be Saturday, but I'm gonna see if I can muster it along here a little bit. In my house, I can't find it anywhere, but I want to take it to the cottage. Decide that you're gonna take a different book to the cottage. Believe in your heart and soul that you're going to take a different book to that cottage, and as soon as you have picked up that other book and put it with your stuff, you will find the book that's missing. Every time. Trick the universe into believing, you know what, I don't need that book. I've got this book. And the universe will be like, wait! Here's the book you wanted. You win. Every time. Do I use reverse psychology on the universe? Whenever I can. In all seriousness, I hope that you find the book. It's gotta be somewhere. It'll turn up. Hopefully in time. I guess I don't have a ton of announcements because I think we went through everything yesterday. It's a gay teen summer romance inspired by the songs by Dolly Parton. That does seem like a perfect cottage book. What's it called, Mustang? I might have to read it. It sounds amazing. Sorry. My eyes are watering this morning. I'm not crying, I swear. I'm not crying, you're crying. So yeah, I've switched to manual ads. Hopefully that's gonna help with everything, with interruptions. If you're wondering, why are all these colorful names on my screen? All of these people have lovingly donated $5 or more to the Chairathon, this little, I don't know what it's called, special drive thing that we're doing. It's a thon that we're doing until the end of this month. Me and my husband, Ghost Pepper, who I believe is lurking in stream. And also, side note, happy 2-year streamiversary, Ghost Pepper. He's going to be celebrating that tonight on his channel. He's been streaming for 2 years, and it's amazing. And hard to believe that it's been 2 years since he started this crazy ride. So congrats to you, Ghost Pepper, if you're listening. And everyone on my screen that you see with these colorful names have donated to the Divorce Court Chairathon. Ghost and I are buying new chairs because our chairs suck and his is falling apart and held together with duct tape. It's falling apart with duct tape is what I almost said, but that doesn't make sense. So yeah, we've already unlocked a tipsy stream, which is going to be me drinking wine and talking to you fine folks. Probably that will happen in the beginning of October. And then we're going to have a hot sauce stream where the lovely Ghost Pepper is going to cook in our kitchen hot sauce with, I believe, peppers grown in our garden. Then we're going to, at some point, have a brunch stream where Ghost and I are going to eat brunch on stream and talk with you guys and just chat for however long. We have unlocked the dungeon map giveaway. If you donate $5 or more to the Chairathon, you'll be automatically entered to win a custom D&D map made by Ghost Pepper. I believe it's either a dungeon or a town map, depending on what you want. He has some stipulations for that. And we have also unlocked the 12-hour writing stream. We unlocked that yesterday, thanks to, I believe, the fabulous Bard Owl, who has donated way too much to the Chair Fund. Thank you, Bard Owl, if you're listening. So yeah, probably I'm going to do the 12-hour writing stream in November because, hey, it's going to be NaNoWriMo, and I'm going to be doing it because I'm crazy. And it's going to be my 1-year streamiversary in November. Holy shit. So we're going to be doing a 12-hour writing stream. And if we hit that $600 mark, we're going to upgrade the Divorce Court brunch stream to a 12-hour Divorce Court stream where Ghost and I will eat brunch and then do several other things. Bard, hello! We were just talking about how amazing and generous and wonderful you are. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining us. A Little Bit Country by Brian D. Kennedy. I gotta write that down, because I gotta read that. Let me just copy and paste. Heck yeah. Thanks, Mustang. I can send you the link. Yeah, send it to, I mean, you can post it in the chat, but it would be easier for me to remember if you shoot it at my Discord. Because otherwise I'll get to the end of the stream and I'll be like, why do I have this tab open? Oh, thank you, Mustang. That's very sweet of you. So that's what's going on with all this craziness around me. Just some other highlights. If we get to $700, I will actually read one of my books on stream. I've already picked which one. I'm going to break it across a couple of streams because voice, but I would also post it on YouTube for anyone who wanted to see that. Doing okay, need to run and grab some food real quick, and then I'll be back probably in and out between work stuff. Yeah, I know how it is, Bard. I hope you find some time to write today. That would be super awesome. But I just hope you take care of yourself and enjoy your food. So yeah, at 700, I will do a storytime stream. I will read an entire book on stream. We'll probably break it up across a couple streams just so that my voice doesn't die. And also, the longer I read, the more I trip over my words, if you probably noticed that during my reading streams before. So we'll break that up a little bit. But I think it'll still be super cool. to get to read, to do sort of a read along with you guys, do a live read, and have some discussion about what's happening in the story, whatever you guys want to do. If we hit 800, Ghost will release the Lost Dunes D&D Adventure module. Basically, he ran this massive storyline in Winds of Chaos that involved a group of dukes in the desert that the parties had to systematically overcome in order to make their way to the final boss. He will basically package that up as a D&D module that other people can run in their own settings and with their own groups, which would be super awesome. And in the event that we get to $900 to that 12-hour Divorce Court stream, Ghost and I will add Divorce Court Monster Prom Versus. For anyone who doesn't know about Monster Prom, it's a super awesome competitive dating sim party game where you try to get monsters to go with you to prom, and we will both try to date the same person and see who successfully woos the monster into going to prom with us, which is sure to be amazing because that game is amazing to begin with. We would have some slots open for other people to play, but he and I will have to try and date the same monster. I've already started thinking about, like, we'd have to institute some rules for this. Like, we'd have to ban going into the shop and buying an item that would give you a special storyline, because that would remove the competitive aspect. So I'm already brainstorming some things for if we end up getting that far, is basically what I'm saying. But that's a look at that. All this money is going to buying Ghost and I actually good ergonomic chairs. I've had several back problems since we bought these chairs a couple years ago. They're not great. I have a back cushion now, which helps me, but Ghost chair's falling apart. So that's why this is happening. We're so, so grateful to everyone who has donated. You're all amazing. I believe I am finally caught up with all of the donators having their names on the screen. So that's that stuff. Let's actually write an actual thing, which I feel like I haven't done in forever. The 22 Stories in 2022 project. It's not really an initiative. Basically, I should actually load up my blog and go over there and take a peek at it. So every year on my blog, I post essentially 22 free shorts, for your reading pleasure, that you can go over there, get a sense of what I write, get a sense of what I'm working on. Some of these tie in with other projects. This one, the latest one, Interest from Success, was the 8th story that we wrote on stream this year. It actually ties in with the Aruvalia Chronicles, which is the main project that I've been working on since I started streaming. It actually features the main antagonist rather than the protagonist, which was an interesting twist for me, and one of the reasons I wanted to write it. You can watch the VOD on YouTube. You can see me muttering to myself and you guys while I compose this whole story. And you can read what I wrote, which is super awesome. We've done 14 of these so far, so we're going to do number 15 today. I came up with some ground rules for how I wanted this to work. I've broken them a few times because cool ideas. I'm trying to avoid the main characters that I usually write about because there's tons of stuff already on my blog about Dameron and Rose and some of my other main characters. Asma pops up there a lot, my beautiful sweet necromancer boy. So I'm trying to avoid writing about the same people that I often write about. I'm trying to get in touch with some lesser known corners of my worlds. I'm trying to make sure that everything fits into the multiverse. All of my stories take place in this giant multiverse. I didn't plan it, it just happened. But I'm trying to make sure that all of these stories are essentially canon. They happen at some point somewhere in the timeline of the story, which makes the first prompt really great because it was total chaos. And that's about it. I found these prompts on the internet. Some of them are prompts that I love, and some of them are prompts that I would normally avoid, but I've challenged myself to try and be interested in anyway, to catch you up to speed, because we haven't done one of these in a while. Today's prompt is actually, what is it like to be a person with a disability in your world? And I was really interested in this prompt from the start. Because I think this is something that we don't that it can slip through the cracks sometimes. I think if you're not, even if you don't have a disabled main character, you should at least be aware of how other people use your world and get around in your world and do things in your world, right? And we had someone come in, I don't remember exactly who it was, but we had someone come in before and ask about magical infrastructure in the world of Aruvalia because I had mentioned that, you know, it's a modern world with magic, right? So at some point in time, you would imagine the infrastructure would have magic infused into it in some form or fashion. And I think that a big part of that would be accessibility, right? Because not only do you have people who have disabilities, but like if you think about fantasy races, it goes from, you know, halfling to giant, right? You've got people who are human size, you've got people who are way taller than human size, and you've got people who are way shorter than human size. So how does this world function in a way that allows everyone to access things somewhat equally? And I think magic would play a large role in that, especially in a big city, especially in a capital city. And the more I started to think about this prompt, the more I started to think about how big cities like the capital are probably much more accessible than places like a small town on the outskirts of the city. Like, if you think about bumfuck nowhere, right? It's probably harder to access the sort of magical infrastructure that is just very common in a city, is just naturally built into a city, right? And then you would have sort of up-and-coming places that started out small but are growing and would be having more and more of those, I don't want to call them amenities, but more and more of those accommodations starting to be part of the city planning. And I firmly believe in the real world, not just in my fantasy made-up world, I firmly believe that accessibility should be part of city planning. When you design a building, when you design a city block, when you put together this urban design of how people are going to access things and make use of things, accessibility should be a part of that. It's not something you tack on at the end because then it doesn't really work. And you can tell when accessibility is an afterthought, when someone has just come along and been like, we need to do this, so let's just fit it on the end however we can, right? You can tell when people do that. So I'm really kind of taking that to heart when I'm writing this prompt, and I want to think about how magical infrastructure has been used for accessibility in city planning, how that has become like a cohesive part of the way this kingdom is developed. Comf, hello, how are you? What's up, my friend? Amen, exiled fae. Yes, I would go out on the mountain and preach this if someone asked me to. Like, accessibility should never be an afterthought. It should always be part of the core design. Always, always, always. And this is something I think that we are dropping the ball with in the real world. So I want to pick up that ball in my fantasy world as much as I can. Doing well, been getting up earlier and going on walks. Nice! I know you were saying that you were going to try it. Have you been taking an umbrella so that you can save yourself from the heat, or has it been getting cooler? I'm really hoping it will cool off soon in our area. I haven't even checked the weather in a while. Oh, high of 36 today. Great. Super happy. I was like, oh, it's only 24? High of 36. Get out. A pink umbrella. That's so awesome, Comf. I'm so glad that it's been working out for you. I am really hoping that I can get my foot to be not a jerk anymore next week, because I haven't been able to do my exercising this week because I don't know that I can ride my bike with a pinched nerve in my foot. That doesn't feel like it would be very conducive. So I'm like trying to get it to the point where I can at least get back to my yoga and stuff next week. It's 36 right now and will be 40 at 3 p.m. No! Oh, that's awful. It only gets down to 30. That is the worst. It does at least drop down to the 20s here overnight. I was hoping, it's September. I was hoping it would instantly cool off, but of course, our summer started so late that it'll probably be October before I'm in my hoodie again, which makes me sad because I want hoodie weather now. But, sidebar. Comf, I feel your pain. I mean, not as bad as that, but it's so hot here. Yeah, Shugraz, you live in an area that's pretty hot as well. I mean, I think we're far enough north that we get that variance in temperature, at least, overnight. But, yeah, it's not fun to go out in the high heat of afternoon. So yeah, I'm really excited about this prompt because, like in real life, where I think we sometimes neglect to think about and talk about, accessibility, I think it's important, and I've said this time and time again, I think it's important to show all types of characters in your stories. It's important to have heroes that have physical limitations and, you know, disabilities, mental illness. It's important to see all those things in fiction. Diverse characters are so important because everyone should see themselves reflected in a hero. No one should, you know, see movies and read books and think, I can't find myself anywhere. I don't see anyone who's like me. How can I do amazing things in the world when there's no one like me who ever does anything amazing in fiction? And this is, again, I will preach this from the mountaintop forever. This is the power of stories. This is an important thing because media reflects life and life reflects media, right? So we need to be telling stories where people can find themselves, where people can see themselves. And this is something that I try hard to do, but I will admit, I think in the actual Aruvalia novels, I don't think we've seen a lot of the accessibility and the magical infrastructure because a lot of the story takes place not necessarily in the city, right? It takes place in the underbelly of, you know, criminal society, or it takes place in the palace, and we're not necessarily always seeing a common person's day-to-day life. So I'm really excited to take an opportunity to look at something like that and say, here are things that are actually in this world, and hopefully once I've written them once, I can find a way to infuse those more into the novels or into side stories that may someday crop up for the novel series as well, which is another thing my brain tends to do. So I'm going to be doing that with the Aruvalia Chronicles today. I appreciate and love that you're including that. Oh, thank you, Comf. Like I said, I myself, obviously, I'm not disabled. I'm a cisgender, heterosexual, white woman. I obviously have a certain set of experiences in my life. But I try to listen to the voices around me, telling me their stories and telling me the type of stories that they want to read. And I've said before, I'm very, very fortunate that I get to create worlds in which, you know, in which there don't have to be things like homophobia and transphobia, because I can create a history where people embraced diversity instead of rejecting it the way we have sometimes in our world. Like that's a privilege that I can have characters in my world that haven't necessarily had to suffer the way people in the real world do. But I also try not to ignore people's lived experiences, and I try to listen to the voices. I found these prompts online. I believe there was a 31 stories in 31 days back in January. I took a lot of them from there. I can try and see if I can find the blog. But some of them have just come from various places on the internet. 31 days. Is it this one? This was all the way back in January that I found these, so I don't know if I can find... I don't know if I can find the link again. Because if you search 31 stories in 31 days, there's like a ton of things that pop up now. But I basically sort of, challenge maybe? I basically just sort of scoured the internet and found them. There's a whole bunch of them now. Oh, hey, I found coffee quills. Yeah, I can't... Unfortunately, can't find the link of where... Because, again, I got these in January and I just kind of wrote them down. I might try that for an episodic space opera. That's amazing, Exiled Fae. That would be awesome. I basically have them... This is where I'm getting them from now. I basically have them written down. And if you check out the... I guess I can post the link to my YouTube. I have the prompts that I've used listed in the YouTube videos as well. Some of them are in the titles. Some of them I should probably update so all of them are in the titles. So the one we're doing today is the what it's like to be a person with a disability in your world. Next week we're going to do character wakes to find hedgehogs in their room. So not all of them are like super heavy prompts, but this one I was really excited to try because, like I said, I think we drop the ball sometimes with it in the real world, and I definitely think it's something that I could improve upon, that I could think about more often, and that I could show happening more often in my world. You found the book! Mustang! Did you convince the universe that you didn't want to find it? Is that how you found it? Because it works every time. So the more I thought about this... because I could just sit down and write like an expose, just write like a bunch of notes about here's how accessibility works in my world. Here are some things that I want to try and include in my novels later on. Stuff like, I'm assuming that with magic there's probably a lot of like levitation, because you would have to have, if you imagine that there's like a counter at a bar or whatever, and you want every patron to be able to patron that bar, and you have a huge size variance, you would have to have some kind of enchantment that allowed people who were short to easily come up to the level, or have something like your chairs would have to adjust according to a person's height. Things like, when I think about ramps in our world, I would imagine if you have magic, you could enchant the staircase so that it would adjust the size of the stairs, or so that it could become a ramp, or you could have basically an enchantment that would lift, anything, really. A person, an object up over a bump. You could have, instead of, even instead of elevators, you could technically have levitation. Now, I have established that they do have elevators in this world, but things like that. Like, if you have magic that can pick things up and move them around very gently, I'm imagining that levitation magic is probably, like, really specialized levitation magic is probably utilized quite a bit. I've established that they have charms that can change the size of things, too. So, like, a chair could automatically adjust to be for a giant or for a halfling, depending on who is like in closest proximity to it, right? Same with if you have a bunch of different people sitting at the same table, there might be subtle enchantments to the table so that everyone can reach the table comfortably, even though they're sitting at different heights. Magic can defy the laws of physics. I've established that the only way to defy the laws of physics in Aruvalia is magic. So you could have a table that is different heights for different people, but they're all using it because magic could do that. Just a few like cursory things that I've thought about. Obviously, this is me just spitballing. I'm gonna have a gnome with a power scooter, like one of those segways, so she can keep up with tall people. That's an awesome idea, Exiled Fae. I used Promptober to exercise and world build. If there isn't a pairing, I just do a single person on the theme with a specific world. Nice! I noticed a box of stuff in the corner I hadn't put there, and it was there. Nice! See, I told you it would turn up. I'm also thinking, too, you could... Because when we think about accessibility, right, it can be built into the environment, such as having staircases that automatically adjust, or having magic that automatically lifts people up, or lifts objects up to people, depending on, that height variance. But you could also think of like a magical wheelchair, right? A wheelchair could be enchanted so that it automatically levitates based on environmental obstructions, or is easier to control, or all those sorts of things. So the magic could be in the environment. The magic could be in specific objects as well. And I think it's really important to mention this. This is not originating with me, but if you've ever watched Critical Role, there was a really awesome character in season 2, and I can't think of his name now, but he was a dwarf in a wheelchair that the Mighty Nine sort of hired as a guide while they were going through a frozen wasteland, and he was amazing. Like, Matt Mercer had just put together a whole bunch of, you can actually, I think, look up the details for how to make this wheelchair for your campaign as well. And a lot of people asked him why he chose to create a disabled character in a world with magic. And he has some very enlightening, very interesting responses to that. And I really, really agree with him at the idea that the idea behind magic is not to... You don't necessarily erase disability with magic, right? There are going to be people who are born a certain way and are happy with how they are and don't feel like they need to be fixed and shouldn't feel like they need to be fixed just because magical healing is a thing, right? And it was Dagon. I was like, was it Dagon? Dagon Underthorn. Yes, he was one of my favorite characters in season 2. He was such a badass. Even more, in some cases, like, they would get into trouble and Dagon would just be fine. And I was like, that's because he's the biggest badass. Like, come on. But that you can look up some... I don't want to paraphrase it wrong, right? Because I'm doing this from memory. But there were some very thoughtful responses from Matt Mercer about the fact that magic doesn't necessarily erase disability, and that we shouldn't necessarily think of disability as things needing to be fixed, right? Because people with disabilities are not less able. They just interact with the world differently than we do. So I've really taken that to heart as well, and I don't think, especially because in Aruvalia Chronicles as well, there's a built-in time limit for healing wounds, right? There's a 3-day window after which a wound sets and becomes impossible to heal. So there are a lot of people who have wounds in Aruvalia that have had to be healed the normal way, the slow way. So yeah, for various reasons, I just feel like this is an important topic. And I didn't just want to sit down and do a world building thing. I want to actually write a story. And so the more I thought about this, the more I thought it might be interesting to write something from a character perspective of someone who has been injured, and so was not able to be healed due to an in-world event. This is actually a canon event. There was a big magical hurricane, essentially, in Aruvalia. There was a magical hurricane, and after the hurricane, magic was very wonky in that area. So healing magic could not be done. In order to heal people, they had to be evacuated to other towns, and it took a lot of time. And so there would have been people who were injured in this storm who were unable to get access to magical healing for various reasons. So I thought it would be interesting to write from the perspective of a character who was injured in the storm, unable to be magically healed, and has sort of learned to... I guess not necessarily learned. Someone who is now in a wheelchair and has learned the differences in... Because I was saying before how in a city there's probably much more accessibility than the middle of nowhere, which is where the storm took place. So someone who lived in a small area and maybe struggled a bit more because the accessibility wasn't as good and has now come to the city. And I want this character... I want her goal to be making that accessibility more widespread. She's basically putting together an essay or a petition for the government, because she wants the crown to devote more money and manpower to making the accessibility that she's experienced in the city happen everywhere, essentially, to make it so that every, even small town, has access to the same magic that is prevalent in the city. That's sort of the angle that I want to take for it, because I think it mirrors that initiative in the real world, right? That we need to be sort of more aware of how we are designing our environment for a specific type of people, and we should really be designing it for everyone. And I think that will also allow me to sort of explore the idea behind how you can take an area that hasn't had the accessibility planned in from the start and renovate it, versus, you know, having my character interact with places where it's a very natural part of the design. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Words get jumbled in my brain sometimes when I try to speak them, which is why I'm much better at writing. So I think I'm just going to try and dive in here. Doing my palms at work, so I will be in and out. No worries, comf. Also, Halo, thank you for the hydrate. We're going to do that stretch in a moment. I love that you put so much thought into accessibility and inclusivity. I just feel like it's so important. Also, hi, Laurel. How are you? I just think it's so important. And like I said, I obviously don't have a lot of that lived experience myself, but I try to listen to people who talk about their experiences, pay attention to the things that they tell me that I should pay attention to, right? And I've read so many posts about the frustration with accessibility just being an afterthought in the real world, and how we're not putting that into organized planning as often as we should be. And I try to take those things, sort of process them, and think, how can I create a world where people have listened to those voices? And even if it's just a few little touches, it makes a difference, because like I was saying before, everyone should be able to see themselves in fiction. Everyone should be able to find heroic qualities in themselves and their qualities in the heroes that they're reading about. It's such a small thing, but it makes such a big difference. Case in point, I remember after Mad Max Fury Road came out, because if you've seen Fury Road, Furiosa has a deformed limb. She has a deformed arm. Obviously, the actress doesn't. It was green screened, but the character did. And they specifically, you know, went to the trouble of green screening out Charlize Theron's hand and giving her a prosthetic that worked in world. And I remember reading a bunch of posts after by people who had that same condition, who were born with that same condition, who were so thrilled just to see themselves represented on screen, just to see someone who was such a huge badass kicking ass and taking names and having the same condition that they were born with. So one little thing, and it might seem like nothing to you, the creator, but one little thing can make a massive, massive difference. Of course, as soon as I mentioned the F word, the phone rang, and I had 500 work things I had to be done immediately, so now I'm gonna go get sustenance. Oh no, Bard! Get some food. Laurel, how are you? I'm sorry that got lost in my whole my whole spiel. So, I've actually been streaming close to an hour already, because of course I've gone off on way more tangents than I expected. So I'll leave this up to you guys. Do we want to start with a sprint first and then take a break, because I'll have to run some ads? Or do we want to do a quick break? I can run 30 seconds of ads, and then we can come back and do 2 sprints in quick succession. So this is story 15 of 22 stories in 2022. And right off the bat, I know I'm gonna need a name, so let's go to fantasy name generators and grab one for our character here before we get off running. I never know, like, what's the just... Where's the default just fantasy names on this generator? Do you just have like a human fantasy name generator? This one's proving too complicated for me today. Let's just do this one. Ad breaks didn't work. Don't derail the flow with ads. That makes sense. I'm just naming a person. We're just looking for just a girl's name. I actually though, I think I could get away with, I want something that sounds mildly fantasy-ish, but could also be like a real name. Sometimes there are too many options sometimes, is all I'm saying. Detective names. All right. Dryad names. Let's see what the elf names spit out. I like Arlania. Arlena, I guess it would be. That's a different one. Or a decent one. Wow. Haven't even started writing yet. Okay. Let me just note this name down. Marith. Ooh, I like that too. Why don't we name her... I've suddenly lost my mind. Why don't we name her Arlena Marith? Alright. And I'm going to actually do something that I don't normally do. I'm going to attempt to write today's prompt in first person. I usually write in third person limited. It's my favored form of writing. But every now and then... Oh, I forgot to do Halo's stretch. Good thing I glanced over there. Oh, nice. So I'm going to write this from first person perspective, and it's going to be like, you know how sometimes like when you're doing a like college interview or whatever, you have to write like an essay about yourself? It's going to be something like that. It's going to be something that this character wrote about herself as part of a petition to the government to sort of draw attention to the fact that, well, the core of the country and the urban areas are very well funded in terms of accessibility. Some of the outlying reaches are not, have been falling through the cracks and need attention. And that's sort of what we're going for. I like your wallpaper. That movie was pure adrenaline. Yeah, right? We were just talking about Mad Max. This is like my favorite movie ever. I watch this movie all the time, and I love every minute of it. Freaking, what I love most about it too is that the director doesn't like props that don't work. So that flame-throwing guitar is an actual flame-throwing guitar, an actual real-life guitar that throws flames. And they did the polecat stuff while they were moving as well, because they figured out that they could do it safely. It's amazing what you can do with practical effects. Speaking of characters with disabilities, mental health issues, I'm at a part in Hell's story where Hestia actually has a panic attack. Oh no! Poor Hestia. But yes, yeah, I think it's important to have that kind of stuff be in stories. So we're going to do, I think Aspen's right. I think we're going to, Aspen, Mustang, I don't know why I'm suddenly calling you the second half of your name now. We're going to take a quick break. You're going to see ads run. I might do a slightly longer. I might do a 45 seconds just because that way if we stream for another hour, hopefully people won't get pre-rolls. I've switched to manual ads so that hopefully they'll be less interruptive. If you're a subscriber, you shouldn't see any ads at all anyway. But this way it won't break up the flow. And when we come back, since I have yet to do any writing, we'll try and do two prompts, two sprints in relatively quick succession. So I will be back in 2 or 3 minutes. I'm back, and theoretically shouldn't have any ads to worry about for the next hour or so. I have anxiety myself, so of course it ends up in my story somewhere. Yeah, I know what that's like. I also have anxiety. I wrote something. I didn't say it was anxiety. I wrote like the description of like the heart pounding and the knees getting weak and that kind of thing in one of my Aruvalia novels, and one of my betas was like, this is an accurate description of a panic attack, and I was like, I know, dude. I've had them often enough. So yeah, let's get started. I already know how I want to open this, so we're gonna put 20 minutes on the clock. I'm gonna get quiet for the first time in ages and do some tippy-tap typing. Been lurking the whole time, but I was out back tending the real-life pepper patch. Yeah, he showed me the haul. I gotta skip this song because it's got talking. I won't lie, I find it weird when people don't include those things in their stories. My mantra when I write horror is slashers are people too. People love my horror because when you start making connections with the slasher as well as the others, you just end up more invested. Yes! Give me a villain that I can identify with in some fashion. I'll hate you, but I'll love you. Make me hate them, then make me feel bad for hating them. And that is the perfect villain. Habaneros are finally growing and almost ready. Nice! Fingers crossed, Ghost. Fingers crossed. All right. 20 minutes on the clock. Let's see if I remember how to do words. I need food, so I sprint next round. No problem, Exiled Fae. Enjoy your food. I've got all the things: anxiety, ADHD, autism, fine motor dysfunction, nearsightedness, astigmatism, bad back. Oh no, Laurel! I have several of those things myself as well. But you know what? You're awesome and you're writing awesome stories, and that's the most important thing. And I think it's even more awesome that you're not afraid to write about your experiences in your stories, because how else will those of us who don't have ADHD learn about it unless we're taught about it by people who do have it? I try to put myself in my stories that way, but I also try not to overemphasize it either. I want a natural part of who the character is, not a look at me, I'm disabled, pity me type character. Well, exactly. It's important to not define the story necessarily as like it's not a gotcha thing, right? It's just a part of who a person is, and their whole life doesn't have to center around that. Or make it seem like a one-off obligatory because everyone wants to see more of it thing. It's part of who I am and part of who certain characters are. Exactly. No, I totally get it, Laurel. Have wine, will sprint. Perfect, Exiled Fae. That sounds perfect. Welcome to the sprint. Enjoy your wine. What, if you would like to share, what kind of wine are you drinking? Write junk, edit sober. I am here for that. Editing drunk doesn't work very well. I can attest to that. But write however feels good to write, for sure. Anything that loosens up the brain and lets the words fall out. 875 words on a first sprint. Not bad. This has turned into a little bit of a life story for this character. We haven't really gotten to the accessibility part yet. But I'm sort of trying to let this character tell her story her own way. So far it's basically about how... Couldn't even make it to 190? Are you writing with us today, Shagras? Are you writing a story? What are you writing about? Wait, are you talking about me? I wrote 875 words, Shagraz. That's way more than 190. No, God, no. Shagraz, I love you. Never change. Or did you look at this part and think, oh, she barely wrote anything? I'm basically trying to let this character tell her story her own way. So far it's basically about how she had one mindset as, you know, a child growing up in a small place. She had an accident. She decided not to be defined by this accident, not to let it change the person who she was, and not to be defined by pain or suffering. But essentially how it changed her perspective of the world and changed her perspective again when she came to a bigger place. So the next sprint, I think I'm going to be starting to get into the differences, and this is where we're going to be starting to see some of the magical infrastructure, how in her small town, she struggled to move from place to place, but in Silver Garden, she has no problem accessing buildings, streets, cars. Like, everything seems designed with her and people like her in mind, and how easy and carefree her life has sort of become versus how she struggled with certain simple things when she lived in her small town. And I'm using that, in a way, I'm kind of using it a little bit as a plot device to naturally describe differences between places. But I think it is also true in the real world that if you live in a small places don't get as much budget as big places. In a big city, if they need to build something, you know, there's so many people who are going to make use of this new transit or this new building or whatever that the city finds the budget, and often through taxes. But in a small place, where you only have so many people living there, and you might be using outdated infrastructure, outdated buildings or whatever, it's much harder for them to get money in order to... I did think it was 185. I thought 185 was low. I misheard. No worries, Shagraz. No, it was 875. But I love that you were ready and willing to sass me at a moment's notice. I appreciate that. So yeah, it's often harder if you live in a small place to get the budget to build a new building or create a new transit or whatever. And so the idea behind this, 1000%, there was zero public transit within like 45-minute drive where I grew up. Exactly. Like, I don't think there was public transit when I lived where I grew up either. There was like school buses, but I don't think there was like public transit buses. Woo woo, try to get redlining in the world. This is too common in North America. Well, exactly. And I grew up in Pennsylvania, in a small town in central Pennsylvania. And so that's sort of what I'm basing this experience on, because we lived a 5-hour drive from New York, and New York City was a whole different beast. Now, I'm not saying that if New York needs something new in their budget, they can just be like, here is magically the money for this thing. I get that city budgets are beasts, and that it's not necessarily easy for a mayor to be like, yes, we need this thing, here's the money, go build it. But it's often easier to get government funding for something if more people are going to use it. And so the idea behind the reason why this character is telling her story, and telling her story the way she's telling it, is she's trying to get the Crown's attention and say, hey, you know, you're not just the queen of big cities, you're the queen of the small places too, and small places need help and support so that everyone so that everyone can live the same quality of life, essentially. It's kind of what I'm going for. So I'm taking a little bit of a winding route to get there, but that's kind of what I'm hoping to do with this story. So the next sprint is going to get into more of that technical stuff, where she's going to start describing how she came to the city and suddenly, her chair can levitate everywhere because the pathways are enchanted, and she doesn't have trouble, going out with friends to a restaurant, and she doesn't have to get a special cab because the cabs are enchanted so that they accommodate her wheelchair and that kind of stuff, right? Thanks for the lurk, Mustang Aspen. Enjoy. Central PA represent. Exiled Faye! Are you from Central Pennsylvania? I grew up in Selinsgrove. You'll know it if you're from Central PA. I have met so many people from that area since I started hanging out on Twitch, and it boggles my mind because our friend Jay Chili is from that area as well. I know it. I live in Enola. Oh, okay, but I'm originally from Puerto Rico. Interesting. Well, I'm glad that you're hanging out with us, Exiled Faye, and I hope it is a beautiful day in Enola right now. I'm also from Central PA. Are you, Shagraz? What town did you grow up in? Maybe I know it. But yeah, having grew up in Eden. Oh, interesting. What made you eating these nuts, Shagraz? You got me again. Shagraz used channel points yesterday to get a D's nuts joke in, and I respect that. I respect the hell out of that. Thing is, I would believe there's an Eden, Pennsylvania, because we have places like Blue Balls and Paradise. Probably between intercourse and bird in hand, exactly. Yeah, there's a town called Blue Balls in Pennsylvania, absolutely. So yeah, I'm actually kind of drawing a little bit on my experience as someone who grew up in a small town and moved to a city, because I grew up in Selinsgrove, which is a very small place. And I could actually look it up. It's probably a higher population now than when I lived there, but... Okay, let's see. According to Wikipedia... population just shy of 6,000 in 2020. So there you go. For anyone who doesn't know, oh, does it not have the dot anymore? If you look at it small, this is where I grew up. This little dot here on the Susquehanna River, this is where I grew up. And now you're in Canada. I need to figure out that one for myself. My passage was Ghost Pepper. I married a Canadian. He brought me here. That happened. I'm not saying get married to cross the border, but it does help. They let me in and they're stuck with me now because I'm a citizen, so. PA, weird, but I love it here. Do you live in PA too, Laurel? Wait, what? What? Have we talked about this before? Have you told me that you live in PA before? Ghost was useful for something? Yes, very useful. Already married, unfortunately, for these purposes. Darn. True, you gotta marry for love and not for Canadian citizenship. I just lucked out that I got both. Westchester. Ah, interesting. Yeah, so this is where I grew up. Very small town. You know, it was not the greatest, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't exactly enjoy it. This is the downtown area right there. And it's pretty accurate to what I remember. So yeah, I mean, are there more pictures of... Here we go. This is the town where I grew up right here. I remember this street. I don't think they have anything of down like where I actually lived, but yeah. So there you go. Super small town. It's basically a highway town. And that's it. Those are the most interesting pictures they got. And then this is Kids Grove, the park that I helped build when I was in high school. It was designed by kids, built by the community for kids. It's super cool. It's probably the coolest thing about the town, maybe? And that's it. That's where I grew up. We were watching an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the other night, and they were in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and I was like, what a weird random place to be doing an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because I was like right across the freaking river from where I lived. We could drive there. It was like a 20-minute drive. Just gotta wait for my editor to go over changes to the last quarter now. Hey, Lomi, it's going pretty good. We've written 875 words so far. We're just about to start our second sprint. I'm just yakking about the town where I grew up. And we're gonna do our second sprint, and then we'll probably have to do another ad break. PA has some great people. Not surprised we have many from here. That's true, yeah. I mean, I believe it is currently deep red country, but there's lots of cool people who live in Pennsylvania. For all that I didn't necessarily like the town where I grew up, there were a lot of cool people there. Highway town, yeah. It's halfway between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and it's on the way to Harrisburg, and that's why it exists. Sunbury is pretty nice. It is, but it was just such a random place to be like, I was like, wait, they set this in Sunbury? And I was like, did they actually film it in Sunbury, or did they just say it was Sunbury? Like, to me, their awareness of Sunbury's existence, I was like, wait a minute. A good friend of mine lives there. Nice. Yeah, my aunt used to live there when I was younger. Most towns are highway towns. You just don't know because you live at the end of the highway. I think Shagraz probably lives at the end of several highways as well. I would have reacted the same way. Yeah, I actually paused and looked at Ghost and I was like, how do they even know that Sunbury is a place? What? Town where you live in Los Angeles. I do believe Shagraz lives in that area. They are called freeways here. Freedom ways. The ways of freedom. Alright, I am going to restart the sprint timer and see if I can get my brain to do some stuff. Highways are for hick towns? I mean, sounds legit. I grew up in pretty much Hickville. Yeah, let's do it. Let's stretch them fingies. I lived in a neighborhood right next to the highway hub. Hated it. It's hard to get anywhere short distance. Makes sense. Honestly, we never drove when we lived in Toronto because... crazy. We just took the transit everywhere. Exiled Faye, thank you so much for using your Prime sub here today. I really appreciate it. Driving in Toronto sucks. Yeah, it's just you can get around pretty well with walking in transit in Toronto. But it's just there's so many highways and roads just going. This is what it feels like to me, just like the winding the winding roads. Hey, Angel Faye, how are you? What is up? I'm good. Finished chapter 16 and now thinking of how to kidnap my female MC. Ooh ho ho, evil thoughts. I haven't always been able to entirely interact well with others or know how to handle any situation, but I've met enough different souls to know there are different things that go on and different things that affect people in different ways. And I've learned how to accept and acknowledge that. And I've learned that sometimes all those people need is someone to be there. So it's become almost natural for me. Oh, that's a really good quote, Laurel. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's a philosophy that we could all live by. Lots of times people don't want you to fix the things that they're frustrated about. They just want to be able to talk about it and express themselves and have someone be there for them and listen. And the more that we're willing to listen to other people, the more not only do we help them, but we enrich ourselves as well because we understand the world from a new perspective. The more you know. Lily Rose, hello! How are you? Welcome to the stream. For say alacrity, is that what I really mean? It is what I mean. Doing well. Glad to hear it. Siobhan, hello. Thanks for dropping by. Enjoy your lurk. And if you want to come out of lurk and let us know how you're doing, please do. I keep trying to catch your streams and I always fall asleep. I always fall asleep. I'm always like, I open your channel and I check your schedule and I'm like, tonight I'm gonna say hi, and then I just fall asleep, start falling asleep on the couch, and I'm like, tomorrow night. But I've been really tired lately, so I was a couple nights ago, I've been reading the Sherlock Holmes novels, and I was reading one of those, and I had like because I listen to white noise when I read, so I had my big headphones on, and I just slumped over onto the pillow, and I was like, I guess I should stop reading and go to bed. Getting ready for the S&B and GOT Discord. Oh yeah, nice! The Stitch and Bitch. People with disabilities or hardships don't always want to be babied. We just want a safe place to be able to talk about them and be able to learn how to manage on our own and thrive. Also, I had happy tears while writing that quote and was adding it to my story. Aw, exactly. It's amazing how your own characters can surprise you. And I think people with disabilities just want a little bit of patience from other people as well. I know I have a friend who has cerebral palsy, and she often has problems. I don't live near her, unfortunately. We only communicate online now, but we grew up together, and I know she has problems sometimes where she wants to go out and hang out with people, and she has to have different considerations, right? Sometimes she doesn't have the energy and she needs to have flexible plans, and some people don't understand that, and it's a frustration for her, right? So like, let people define what they need and what they want, and just be flexible and help them. I missed my last 2 streams due to sleeping through them myself. Oh no, but I hope that was good sleep at least. I used to be like, I used to stay up till like 3 a.m. easily. Like it used to just be my time. But then I married a school teacher and now I get up when the sun is out for some reason. So, but yeah, I probably have been tired in part because I hurt my foot, and I know I need to rest more in order to heal it. So I know that like that kind of stuff costs energy from your body too, but I just feel so bad because I'm always like, I'm gonna say hi this time, and then I just pass out. Got 8 hours of sleep last night in the tub. Oh my goodness. I assume it was hot water when you fell asleep and cold water when you woke up. We don't need babying, we need flexibility and patience. Exactly. I know I've talked through the second part of this sprint, but I feel like I'm getting on towards the end of this. Also, I've written 1,666 words, and that just feels like a really good place to pause for a minute. 666. Let's see, where did I start this one? I believe it was after coming to Silver Garden. So 791 words on that sprint. Pretty good. A total of 1,666. A perfect number of words. And I think I'm mostly done. I think I have one more. I basically wanted this to be like a petition that the character is writing to somebody else. So now I'm basically at the sort of technical part where the character is basically going to express the reason why she's writing all this and what her request of the crown is. So I don't think it'll be too much longer, but I'm pretty happy with this. I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. Con202, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome to the stream. I recently was diagnosed ASD, and now I'm struggling with what that means for me and how to proceed, but it explains so much of my past. I mean, I'm glad that it at least helps you understand what's going on. That's always helpful. Oh, thank you for doing the shout out, Ghost Pepper. You had 875 the first time. I did. Unlike the 190 that Shograz wanted to attribute to me. Con202, how are you? What is up? What were you working on today on stream, and how did it go? I hope the words have been flowing for you. Oh my goodness. So we have been working on a writing prompt. The writing prompt for today was, what is it like to have a disability in your world? And I took this opportunity to kind of write a bit about how magic influences the infrastructure of Aruvalia, the kingdom that I've been working on writing about in my main story here on my streams. It's been a really interesting, it's been really interesting for me to think about how magic could be utilized in various objects and structures in order to make it easy to get around, make it easy for different races that have massive differences in heights to interact with the same world easily and fluidly. And it's been really good for me to do this because I can put these bits and pieces into my novels as well, hopefully, and have some of that show through. So I'm really happy with how it's come out. No flow today, sadly. Oh no! But hey, can't win every day. Better luck next week. Hopefully, I know what you mean though. Some days the words just come to you and they're flying out of your fingers, and some days everything feels like pulling teeth and it's the worst. So, sorry that you didn't have flow today, but if you wrote anything at all, it's a win. Every word is a win. And hopefully, after a weekend, I assume you'll take the weekend off. Hopefully, after a weekend to rest and recharge, you'll get that flow back. Am I following you already, Con202? Let me see. I'm not. Let me give you a follow. Oh my goodness. I think it has been, I've been switching to, oh, Con202, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. I've been trying to run ads manually today for the first time because we've been getting a lot of it interrupting in the middle of stream. So I think it's been about an hour since we ran ads, and I don't want anyone to end up with pre-rolls. So also I need a little bit of a bio break. So what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna pop AFK here quick in a few minutes for a quick break and run some ads. So don't panic if the ads run a little bit long. I'm trying to do 45 seconds of ads during the break so that if we run long, it won't start giving people pre-rolls. Wolf is here to read, of course. Before I pop AFK, I just want to let you know what this bar down under the words is for. My husband, Ghost, and I are... Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. This whole time, I forgot that I had adjusted the display capture before, and it's not showing you guys... it's not showing you guys the words the way it usually does. That explains why Shagraz was like 190 words. But I just want to explain what this little bar underneath me is. This is our divorce court chair-a-thon. No one's getting a divorce. It's just what my husband and I call our streams together. We are raising money for new chairs because our chairs suck and Ghosts is falling apart. Hope you're well. I'm doing pretty good, Woof. How are you doing? Are you basically done with your work for Friday, or do you still have some stuff to do? So these are the rewards. We have unlocked the first up to 500 so far. So I will be doing a tipsy chat where I drink wine and chat with y'all fine folks. I will also be doing a 12-hour writing stream. Probably we're going to do that in November for NaNoWriMo because it would be a good motivator for me, but also my streamiversary is going to be, my first year streamiversary is going to be in November, unbelievably. So that will happen. Not quite, but should be quiet probably. Good luck. I hope you have a good, quiet rest of the day. We are now working on a 12-hour stream. Basically, if we hit $600, Ghost and I will take that divorce court brunch stream that we're planning to do, where we're going to eat brunch and chat with people, and we'll upgrade it to a 12-hour stream. Brunch won't happen the whole 12 hours, but it'll be part of it. So that's what that bar is for. That's what our current goal is. That'll be on the break screen as well when we pop to. My underworld deities are proving to be a lot more deep and aware of things than traditional mythology tends to portray them, and they attribute that to the thousands of years dealing with who knows how many souls who bring them lessons from the world of the living that can still apply after death. That's a good point. I guess the more souls pass through the underworld, the more the underworld deities or inhabitants would learn from their shared experience. I'm gonna take a quick AFK. I do apologize for going AFK so soon after the raid, but I haven't had a bio break in a while. I'm gonna run ads. Just like I said, don't panic if they seem to go on a little longer. It's just because I won't be here, and hopefully that will keep people from getting interrupted by pre-rolls when they drop by. And this is my first time doing this, so if you guys have any feedback on, like, because I can't see the ads myself. So if you guys have any feedback on that stuff, please do let me know. And I will be right back. Bard, welcome back. There was a raid. I got distracted by my job. It's all right, Bard. We understand that you have to work. It happens. Whoops. The sprint timer has started on its own because I forgot to disable it. How is work going today, Bard? It sounds like you're busy. I'm thinking hopefully we only need one more sprint to finish this. It'll be only a little over 2,000 words, but since it's a short for my blog, they usually run between... I mean, I don't necessarily have a set amount that I'm trying to write for them, but they usually run between 2,000 and 3,000, so that'll be a good amount. I'm so busy. I hope you at least... Do you get a break on the weekends, Bard? Like, are you guys closed? Do you have closed business hours on the weekend? I sincerely hope you're able to get a break, because you've been busy the past 2 days, from what I understand. I'm looking at the Discord where people were talking about trying to rotate their ankle and then make a 6 with their hand. And I haven't tried it, but mostly because I'm trying to rest my ankle, but it's pretty funny. Technically we're closed on the weekends, but we've been working every weekend for like 2 months, and we're working tomorrow and also next Saturday. No, Bard, I mean, I get it. You guys are a new small business from what I understand, but you gotta have time off. You gotta have break times. You gotta rest. When do you sleep? Ow, okay. That was me once again knocking my foot against my desk, which I'm trying not to do because I already hurt my foot. The weekend after that, we're taking a 3-day weekend and going camping. That does sound nice. I probably couldn't do that anyway because fine motor dysfunction. What? Not shove your foot against your desk? I'm starting to wonder if maybe I hurt my foot in the first place by slamming it against my desk and then just forgetting I did it, but, you know, these things happen. Man, it's been so long since I've been camping. That sounds amazing. But you deserve more than one Saturday off a month. Like, more than one Saturday off a week. That would be amazing. More than one Saturday a month. Make a 6 with my hand. I mean, I think they're just doing, like, that, I think. Apparently it was a, like, Facebook thing, and one of I think it was AB Coffee posted that he tried it, and he was like, I'll be able to do it, and then, and then he was like, my foot changed directions. All right, should I finish? I feel like I should finish writing this. I'm procrastinating, but I feel like I should finish writing this here story. Sometimes when I have to write more technical stuff, my brain is like, but I guess I don't have to include like budget calculations or something that would be like beyond the scope of this story. Oh, my brain don't work right sometimes. No, I mean, it's okay. I said make a 6 with your hand. I mean, that could be interpreted in many different ways, but my interpretation of what they were saying to do was to basically move your foot in a certain direction and then do something with your hand, and your foot will automatically change direction because brains. But, you know, it's like trying to rub your stomach and pat your head. You'll automatically start moving your stomach hand in, like, the rubbing motion as well. 'Cause brains, multitasking, we're not actually built for it. Brains are very weird. Very. All right, let's do one more 20-minute sprint. For those of you who are writing with me, good luck. Exiled Fae, I hope the wine is working out well. Let's do it. Did Exiled Fae ever tell us what the wine was? Did I miss that? I don't think I can scroll up that far anymore. Arbor Mist Sangria. Ooh, nice. I have a bottle in our fridge called Whoops. That's the name of the wine. It's from a winery called The Vibrant Vine, which is located near us. And the story is that when they were a young winery, just getting started, they entered a label making competition. And there was just this perfect storm of events. First of all, they have these really cool 3D labels that if you look at them with 3D glasses, they like pop. But they look the same. The top and the bottom look the same before they're like applied. So if you're looking at them from the back, so the woman who was putting on the labels did like several cases of them upside down without realizing it. And then they entered this label competition, but they didn't realize that when you enter the label competition, you send empty bottles. So they sent full bottles. And the people at the competition were like, oh, this must be for the tasting competition. And they sent it over there and they won. They won the tasting competition that they weren't even trying to enter. So they basically just called the wine Whoops. The wine has ever since then just been called Whoops because it was an accidental success, accidental massive success. And it's basically, it's sort of a blend of all their different white wines every year. So it tastes a little bit different every year, but it's always really good. So I have a bottle of it in the fridge. I had bought it because we had some company come over just in case they wanted to drink wine and we didn't end up cracking it that day. So I'll probably end up just cracking it and drinking it myself this weekend because it's always good. I like to always have like a little bit of everything on hand when we have company over, whether or not they're going to consume it. I just feel like a good host if I can offer like, I'm like, hey, we have wine and we have tea and we have mixed drinks and like whatever people want, I can just give it to them. But the wine never goes to waste because I'll always drink it either way. So I just saw a squirrel outside my window. Nice. He's probably prepping for the winter. But anyway, yeah, when I crack into the wine, that's what I'll be drinking. I also, I fully admit that I choose all of my alcohol based on the labels. So like, the last wine that I had was called The Escapist, and I bought it purely because it had an octopus on the label, and it was really good. It was delicious. But I didn't care anything about the taste. I was like, that's on sale. It has an octopus on it. Done deal. That explains my mad elf phase. Being distractible or choosing things based on labels. There was another one that I bought because it was called Moon Cursor, and the label on the back had no tasting notes. Choosing things on labels, yes. Mad Elf is a holiday beer. Ah, okay, yeah, exactly. I found this one called Moon Cursor, and on the back it said, "Curse you, moon, for lighting my path tonight, for lighting my run tonight. This gold is mine." And I was like, I don't care what this wine tastes like, I'm buying it. And it was great. I need to go to the big wine store so I can get more of it because it was so good. But I was like, I don't care if this is the most awful wine in the world, I'm buying it based on that label description. So I like hard cider too. Laurel, ooh, sorry about the yawns. Our favorite cider is No Boats on Sundays. It's a local, Canada local. I mean, it's not like BC local. But it is a Canadian cidery, and they make regular cider, flavored ciders. My favorite is the peach. But we also have the wild berry and the regular, and that's sort of our like go-to. Hard cider and mead are like my favorites. That reminds me that we have a bottle of mead that we haven't cracked in a while. We used to have Angry Orchard as our go-to as well before we discovered No Boats. And I think we just like No Boats better because it's made with, so the BC one is made with BC apples. Like out east, they make it with apples from out east. And it's really good. It's not super sweet. Mead is the best. Actually, one of our streaming friends, Valkyr, makes her own mead, and it's so good. We have some of her mead to finish up too, and we really should because it's so good. But she gave us some. I guess she made a batch for her birthday, and she let us taste some of it while we were visiting her, and it was amazing. So anyway, tangent. I said I was going to finish this. Let's finish it. Because I can't crack into any of the booze until I finish this, so... I just like the name Angry Orchard. I really like Angry Orchard has a bunch of different flavors. We usually can't get them here, but when we used to go down to Seattle a lot, we could get a bunch of the different flavors, and I do like Angry Orchard. It's just easier and more... I don't know what I was going to say. It's easier for us to get the No Boats, and we like it. But Angry Orchard is really good too. I love mead, and there's a bunch of local meaderies. Nice! Author Goddess, hello! We only have one local meadery, but we really love their stuff. They're called Meadow Vista, and they actually... have like they do beekeeping, but they have like an agreement with a bunch of local like farmers and stuff in different areas that they can essentially put their beehives near their plants to pollinate their plants. So it's beneficial to the farmers because the bees are pollinating for them, and it's beneficial to the meadery because then they get different flavors of honey and different flavors for their mead. And it's really cool. I think it's just really cool. The one we went to is called Valhalla. That sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. I would love to visit a meadery called Valhalla. And Meadow Vista, the one that's in our area, they do I almost said wines. They do meads for specific holidays. So they have an Ostara and they have a Mabon. And we love to get the Mabon for New Year's and mull it because you can buy a little packet for mulling the Ostara, and not the Ostara, the Mabon, and it's really good. And they have one called Rubius, which is like a I think it's blackberry, like it's a dark purple fruity mead, and it's so good. And we have one in our... I just remembered that we have one in our cupboard, and we have not drunk it, and it's so good. And I'm gonna have to convince Ghost that we should open it. Mythology names are best names? Absolutely. It's actually spelled... We say it Rubius. It might be Rubus, but it's really good. I don't know how widely they distribute. Here we can order and just have it delivered locally. But this is the wine Rubus. It's blackberry. It's so good. And all of their fruit flavored meats, they get the fruit locally, so it's all locally grown as well, and it's super good. The other one I really like is they have these are called Cicers. So they're sort of like the precursor of ciders. They're sparkling mead, and I really like the cherry because they get cherries are grown here locally, so they get the cherries from our area and they add it to the mead, and it's so good. Rubus, exactly. There's a little bee on it, yeah! So yeah, the sparkling apple is really good, but the sparkling cherry is so good. We really like this this place. They call them honey wines here because I assume because it's wine country that makes it sell better, but it's mead. It's super good. The Cloud Horse is just kind of like the basic unflavored. I shouldn't say basic. It's really good, but it's like the unflavored pure just mead. Local alcohol made with local fruit is the definition of living the dream. So much, Author Goddess, absolutely. And honestly, we never really used to drink anything until we moved here, but they make every kind of alcohol here. There are wineries, meaderies, distilleries, cideries everywhere here. And we were like, what the hey? Like, it's local businesses. Some of them are large, some of them are quite small. And we were like, we may as well patron them. And now we just love it. Like, we love everything. We have lots of local berries. Nice. We have apples are grown here a lot, especially cider apples. And there's a place, is it just called BC Cidery? I don't remember, but there's a place where basically they grow apples, and any of the apples that are not able to be sold because they're like too deformed or whatever, they turn them into cider. And they're not quite a craft cidery. They just kind of play around with different flavors, but it's really cool because you can go in, you can taste what they have on tap, and then you can just buy a growler full of whatever your favorite is that day. And they're using what would otherwise be waste product to make alcohol, and it works really well. So yeah, I am happy to rave about all of our local area, like wineries, distilleries, and especially the meadery, because it's super good. And they put together boxes at certain types of the year. So this is what I was talking about, the mulled pack. You get a little packet of, it's just like a little tea bag, essentially, this little tea bag here. And you just put the maben into either the crock pot or like a soup pot, and you put the herbs in it, and it's super good. And hello, look at that wine. Yeah, it's good stuff. Honey wine, mead. So this is one of my favorite places to just gush about. But and then the other one I was talking about, the Vibrant Vine, another really cool place near us. Okay. It just wants me to select my province. Is it gonna let me see the wines? It's this one, the Whoops. This is what the label looks like. And I guess it was originally designed to be the other way. But now they always put it on upside down in honor of the time it was accidentally put on upside down. Bobicus, hello! I'm a big white wine drinker, but Ghost is a big red wine drinker. So we basically just, when we buy wine, he buys a bottle of red for him, I buy a bottle of white for me. It works out very well. And this is the one I was talking about. They basically take a little bit of each of their white wines for the year, and they mix them together into this blend, which they call Whoops. Just mix red with white, then nobody's happy. Exactly. Make your own rosé. That's what we found, though, is like we would switch off buying wines. Like we would buy a bottle of red and then we would buy a bottle of white. And whenever we were drinking the reds, I wasn't happy. And whenever we were drinking the whites, he wasn't happy. And finally, I was like, look, if we're going to spend the money on alcohol, we may as well both enjoy it. So we just started buying separate bottles, and it was the best. It was the best decision because he likes the really smoky, earthy, like peaty tasting stuff that I don't like. And I like the really sweet, like honey, apple crisp flavors that he doesn't like. And it just works. Switch to hard liquors. Oh, we do have a pretty well-stocked bar, Bobicus. We do. We got it. We got it in hand. Although I also buy my rums based on the labels too. I found a rum that was called Dead Man's Fingers, and Ghost really likes it. So I got the You Done Good, and the only reason I wanted it was because it was called Dead Man's Fingers and had a skull on the label. And I was like, this looks good. And he was like, yeah, okay. And we really like it. It's got what Ghost calls banana funk. If you mix it with Sprite, it just tastes like banana cream pie. It's super good. I'll have to look at the website and see if I can get a bottle sent here for the holidays. My family might get a kick out of the B label. I hope you can get it shipped to you, Laurel. I know international shipping when it comes to alcohol is a little bit more difficult or expensive. But it's definitely worth it. It's really good meadery. There's a white wine that they sell in the seaside town that I visited on vacation a few years back. That was so good. I like what they call late harvest. Anything that's second harvest or late harvest wine, because it's really naturally sweet because they've left the fruit on the vine longer. And it tends to be cheaper because it's not as desirable. It's not quite ice wine. Ice wine is when they actually let the grapes freeze on the vine and then try to make a wine out of that. And they can only get small quantities of it. And it's very expensive, but second harvest tends to be very cheap because it's not as desirable, but it's super good, super sweet. So if you ever see anything called second harvest, like labeled second harvest, it's super good. Dead Man's Fingers and Yo Ho Ho and Rum Dum Drum, yes. We also have what's it called? We have another rum that's really good, and I just forgot the name of it. It's slightly more expensive. Is it Drambuie, I think it is? Ghost is going to run in here and be like, how did you forget the name of your favorite rum? But, well, my second favorite rum, my favorite is Kraken, which is quite a bit cheaper. It's sparkling wine and basically tastes like sparkling white grape juice. It's just exactly the kind of wine I like. If you find something called Pink... Bard, it's a sparkling rosé. It's really cheap. It's like my default go-to. It's super sweet, but it's really good. I like ice wines too, Exiled Fae. They're very expensive though, so we don't drink them very often. How goes the writing? It goes very well. We've gotten distracted by talk of wine at the moment, but we are about to finish up the story, Mustang. It'll probably be a one-time thing, but it sounds worth a try. Yeah, I mean, you may as well see. And maybe they sell some of them internationally, so you might be able to find it at a local store. Yeah, it's a sparkling wine. It's just called Pink. It's a rosé. It's a sparkling rosé. It's very sweet. Ghost doesn't like it because it's too sweet. I wouldn't say it's like drinking grape juice, but it's basically... It doesn't taste very winey, and it's a sparkling. I tend to like sparkling wines a lot. And it's just called Pink. I don't know if it's a Canadian one. Sparkling. Yeah, this is it right here. This is like my default go-to wine when I just like... Peter, hello! How are you? Everyone buckle up for Peter time. I'm too particular about rum. I only drink Puerto Rican rum. That's fair. I think if you grew up in Puerto Rico with Puerto Rican rum, I can see having that preference. Anyway, sleepy but okay. I'm doing pretty good, Peter. I'm gonna turn on the writing timer because I said I was gonna do it like 10 minutes ago and Ghost is in the kitchen probably laughing at me. I'm gonna turn on the timer and finish this story. Buckled, yes. Has it cooled down in your neck of the woods, Peter? I grew up in Scotland with no rum, but lots of disappointment. I think it's more Scotch. Oh, we got a stretch from Exiled Fae. Perfect. To get us back in the game. It was much cooler today, which was nice. Glad to hear it. It's cooling off in the mornings and evenings here, but it's still pretty hot at midday. Words just fled my brain. Brains be like they do. I know, I got to the middle of a sentence and my brain was like, you don't know what words are anymore. Looks like they only ship to Canada. Oh no, Laurel, I'm so sorry. I was afraid of that though. Some businesses here are willing to ship internationally. Some wineries are willing to ship internationally, but they get taxed pretty heavily. So if they don't ship to Canada, or if they don't ship outside Canada, it's probably because it costs the business too much to ship internationally. If you were to come into Canada and purchase the booze and take it across the border, you would be charged a tax, but it wouldn't cost the business anything to do it. It's just it's something to do with how imports and exports work. So yeah, it's a shame because it's great. It's a great mead, and I wish you could get a hold of it. But I understand why, because Meadow Vista, the place that makes that mead, is fairly small. They're a fairly small business. I know that there's a place downtown called, I think it's called Okanagan Spirits. I know that they do ship internationally, but it's expensive. So, but they're slightly bigger. They have a couple locations. Meta Vista only has the one. I appreciate that you checked it out though and tried. A whole story in 3 hours. Amazing. This is a very short story. This is only going to be, we're just at the 2,000 word mark. And I think we're just about done. I'm just about done, actually. I'm just wrapping up I'm basically at the persuasive part of the essay. I can look for meaderies local to where I am. That's true, and that's a good idea, because I'm sure they would appreciate your patronage. I think mead is one of the less popular alcohols, and so I think most... I mean, I could be... I don't know in every place, but I think they tend to be less popular, so I think most of the places that make them tend to be smaller. But always worth checking out. Mead is so good. And it's just made from honey, which... bees naturally produce more honey than they can actually use. So beekeeping is actually good for bees. It keeps their hive cleaned out. It keeps it so that they're not, you know, swarming into unfamiliar territory by overproducing honey and not having living space. And it gives us delicious honey and mead with actual, like, health properties. So my family would have loved the bee label. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. I have a sticker from that place. And bees cannot be kept against their will. If they don't like how they're being treated, they will leave. Exactly. I wouldn't eat a bee either, Peter. But honey, delicious. 2,000 words is a lot to just sit down and write on a new idea. True. That is true. I just didn't want you giving me credit for, like, a polished composition in 3 hours. That's definitely not what happened. Yeah, a lot of people try to paint beekeeping as exploitative, but actually, given that bees are having a hard time in the world right now, beekeeping is actually very good for them because it gives them a safe environment to live in. It keeps them from swarming, and I know I'm going off on a tangent during the sprint again, but if bees swarm, oftentimes in uncontrolled conditions, oftentimes it results in death to essentially half of the hive. So beekeeping basically keeps bees happy and healthy. If they need to swarm, they are given a nice, safe place to go to and are guided in that direction. And it helps preserve the bees. It gives them a safe environment to live in because bees are having a rough time in the world right now. Are bees still having trouble? I remember there was a problem years ago. Bees are still having trouble, sadly. I wish I had a space to keep bees. Me too. They're the best little buzzy babies. In the UK, in fact, if you find like a queen, if there's a queen bee like in your wall, you can't even call an exterminator. You have to get like special permission from the government because that's how hard a time bees are having right now. Yeah, bees are actually, if you leave bees alone, they're super nice. Now, wasps are jerks, and they deserve what they get. But bees, super chill and super nice. A queen recognizes a queen? Damn right. Wasps can die in a hole? Oh yeah. Wasps are mean assholes and they no love. But bees, super chill bros. Blow my nose, guys. came up with a name for this person, and I've not used the name at all. We'll sign it. We'll sign it at the end. Oh my goodness. I need to be a millionaire so I can just live my perfect cottage in the woods life, tending my garden and keeping my bees and typing my words. I would love that too, Bard. Sign me up. Let's have cabins side by side. Wasps are evil. They almost cut my dad twice. Holy shit, is he allergic? All right, and we're gonna sign it with the name that we gave this lady because we gave her a name, yo. It's gotta be used. It's gotta be used. Perfect. We're done. I finished it. The end. I stumbled a little bit at the end there because I was struggling to find the words for the concepts I wanted to express. So that was a bit of a shorter one, but it gets us to the end. Let's see. So that was another 670 words, much more than I thought, actually, for a total of 2,336. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. This was definitely a really enlightening exercise for me and something I kind of want to repeat with my big novels and make sure that I get some of this information in there into those as well. Thanks, Mustang. I really appreciate it. Also, it just felt good to write something. Like I said, it's been a while since I just did a raw creation. I've been outlining a lot. I've been doing creative things like, you know, establishing characters and establishing information about a world, but to actually sit down and put prose together, I haven't done that in a while, and it feels super refreshing. Goal indeed. Bees are my homies, though they can stay around. Yes, yeah. If your dad's allergic, I imagine, because the thing about wasps is they're really aggressive compared to bees, who are just kind of doing their own thing. Wasps are bastards. Stick them all together into a giant angry buzzing ball and eat them hardcore at your enemies with a tennis racket. We actually get wasps in the house every summer, and I hate it. Bees are super chill. If a bumblebee gets in the house, it's super easy to coax them onto a cardboard box and take them back outside. But the wasps just fly at the windows until they're exhausted, and I have to keep an eye on them so that nobody steps on them and gets stung. Fun times. So yeah, we have finished with this short story. I'm super happy with it. And I don't know what my schedule is going to be next week. Next week, we are going to do another prompt. We're going to try to do story number 16, which will be the one about hamsters in the room. I have an idea for that one, a la Trouble with Tribbles. If anyone has ever seen the original Star Trek Trouble with Tribbles episode, I want to do something kind of similar to that. Not as extreme, obviously, like, but I think it would be cool to have something like that, where there's just a bunch of hamsters all over a spaceship. So look forward to that. Also, we are going to be finishing the outline and world building for Everyone's Child, because week after next is when I want to start writing it. So I don't know exactly what my schedule will be. I feel like I'll probably be doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. So I will post a schedule on the Discord and on the Twitch schedule area as usual. I'm looking forward to that. Because much as I have been enjoying creating the Everyone's Child universe, I'm really itching to start getting words down for that one. Also, I have been in editing territory for months. It has been so long since I wrote something. I'm really looking forward to getting back into that. And I'm also going to be starting the 10th book, holy shit, of the Aruvalia Chronicles sometime later this month as well. I might not do as much of Aruvalia on stream while I'm working on Everyone's Child. I might focus more on that. But definitely in November, I'm going to be going hardcore on Aruvalia Chronicles. So there's going to be a lot of that happening on stream, getting back in touch with what's going on in Domran's life next. So just lots of exciting stuff coming up. I'm really happy to be... Editing is so important and so necessary, but I'm really happy to be getting close to writing territory again, because it's my favorite part of the process, is just getting the words on the page. Some people hate it, but I love it. So, I got stung in the eye by a red wasp when I was 11, and I've held a grudge ever since. Yeah, that sounds awful. The only time I've ever been stung by a bee was, I think I was like 12, and I was playing outside with I had this toy sprinkler thing, and the bee must have flown too close to me, and it got up in my armpit, and I must have lowered my arm and it stung me. I've never had any trouble with bees other than that, and that was clearly a misunderstanding. But I give wasps a wide berth. Let's see, who is Streamy Stramming? I don't know. Words, yo. Let's see who's streaming. Who we can drop in on. Also, if you follow my lovely husband, Ghost Pepper, I'll give him a shout out. He is going to be celebrating his 2-year streamiversary tonight. I think he's starting at 7:30. He's going to be playing 2 Point Campus. He's going to be building his dream school. And what did he say on the Discord? Because he's going to let people name everything. So I believe he said, naming students after followers, staff after subs, VIPs, and rooms and buildings after folks who've contributed to the Chairathon. So if you want to name something, hang out over there. Yes. Oh, Sailing Ocelot. I don't even think I'm actually following Sailing Ocelot. Oh, it looks like... It looks like a pupper might be visiting. Yeah, let's drop over and say hey to Sailing Ocelot, because I have not followed them yet. I wrote 575 words in those sprints. Exiled Faye, that's awesome. All of the people that Author Goddess mentioned are awesome. We have hung out with them in the past. Supernatural writer Travis Tavern, Base Prefect, Bitzerk, all amazing writers. In fact, let's do some shout outs. We got I Missed Maga. Oops. I've just completely forgotten how shoutouts work as well. And check them all out. They're all amazing. We're gonna raid Sailing Ocelot because I like to spread the love around, especially when I haven't gotten to drop in on people before. Please feel free to use any emotes that you have that make you happy for the raid. Those are the stream elements isn't subbed to be, but those will work for you if you copy and paste it. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Con202, for the raid. Exiled Faye, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me and letting me just blabber on about my ideas for this project before, because I think I just blabbered on for an hour before we even got any words in. Thank you for writing with me. I hope the words flow for each and every one of you during your writing projects today and forward. I will be back hopefully Tuesday. I don't quite know what the schedule will be, but we'll be doing more world building, more writing, just more of the fun stuff. I hope you all have a fabulous weekend, however you spend it. Get some rest. Take some time away from work, whatever work is for you. Hello and goodbye from Texas. Jay, hello! Thank you so much for popping by. I hope you're having a great day. It's Wednesday, my dude. It's the best Wednesday, the Wednesday before Saturday. You guys are amazing. I know I say it every stream, but it's so true. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Thanks for the clicky clacks. Thank you, Shagraz. Take care, my friends. The TV does look like there's an issue with it, so we'll hopefully...
It says Fire TV. I don't know if that means the TV's on fire. I think not.
Hopefully everything is working. Oh my... What? Huh? What?